This is a quick response video to a couple of questions that I got on my initial impressions of the Wen bandsaw. First guy asked me about angle cutting. I'm not going to do that. I finally got this thing perfectly square in relation to the rest of it, and I'm not going to change that. So the way to cut angles obviously is going to be you have to swing this guy around here in the slot to whatever angle you want it at, and then make your cut. Almost everything I do is 90 degrees, so I'm not going to do that, but that's how that would be done. So the second question I got was, did I ever get through that big old piece of round stock? And as a matter of fact, I never even got back to that test. So I've got everything pretty well squared up, and just so you know, I had to take the back cover off to be able to make enough space if I have any chance of getting all the way through that big old piece of round stock. Okay, so first question was, how big was that piece of round stock? Well, we're looking at about 4 3/4 of an inch. So it's a pretty big monster. I'm going to go ahead and get it set up and see if I can cut it. We'll see how it goes. Okay, just started the cut. It's 12:58. We'll see what happens. I've got it's worthy to note that the band, the saw that I'm using, has a slight kink in it that comes up every now and then. And that's because I accidentally set it down too hard on a part. But it still seems to cut okay, so that's the one we're using. Let's see what happens. So, it's been over a half hour now. And as you can see, we're not very far along. To anyone watching this, just so you know, that is what a bandsaw should sound like cutting. It has got the proper sound to it, no vibration, no squeak, no whine. But, I mean, it's cutting good. It's cutting square, it's cutting nice, but it's crazy slow. I mean, this thing is set, the belt is set on the middle speed setting. I don't remember exactly what that is. It's just slow. I've got the cover off it so that we're going to be able to make this piece that is exceeding the specifications by about 1/4 of an inch. Yeah, we'll see how long it takes. It's going to be a while. It's been, I don't know, hour and a half at minimum, if not more. Boy, what time did I start? About 1 o'clock? Anyway, that's how far we are. I think we're on the back half at this point. But, yeah. This is the normal speed I cut at, because it cuts good, leaves the right kind of shavings. But, man, I think it makes pretty good cuts, but if you were a production shop, this would be a horrible piece of machinery. For a home shop, well, you can do it. It's just not going to be fast. Oh, we're getting into game time. We're getting close. It is now 4:52. It's been a long time. Almost, what, 3 hours? But we're almost done. Will it make it? Stay tuned, folks. Second. And it did shut off. Oh, sorry, guys. The video missed. I just turned it off for a second, and pow, it's done. It is done at 4:53. We're done. It's a nice looking cut. So this is the piece that I just cut off of that. And in case you guys are wondering, I have huge hands. So this is a pretty big, big part. Now, I normally wouldn't need to cut that for anything. But the point is, if I did, there was no other home method I could have used. So it's pretty square, as you can see. This piece came out pretty good with a pretty nice finish. I'm pretty happy with that. So I gave it a couple hours to sit here after I finished the cut. I had some other things I had to do. But I cleaned up the part, and as you just saw, this part looks pretty good. Is it perfectly square? Not 100%. I probably could tweak the machine to get it to do a little bit better, but it did it. I mean, that's a pretty nice looking little disc. off that huge piece of round stock. Here's the downer. It took about 3 hours to do it. So could you get it to go faster? Maybe. Maybe you could turn the speed up. Maybe you could add some weight to it to pull down on it. I've heard of people doing that. But I favor quality cuts over fast cuts. I'm just a home hobbyist. And for me, just having the ability to cut something like that is pretty cool. And to me, it makes this bandsaw worth it. It's most of the things that I cut are smaller. So it works relatively well for cutting down parts, for making Damascus steel, and for the forging and the things that I do. If you were trying to do a really big project in a short frame of time, this is not the bandsaw for you. This is a hobby bandsaw. This is not a professional bandsaw. But as you can see, you can cut some pretty big pieces with it. We exceeded its capacity by at least 1/4 of an inch by taking off the guard off the back here, and it did it. You know, I mean, it did it. It did it. Judge for yourselves. It did it. So, any more questions, feel free to ask. If it interests me as much as this, I may do a video response. We'll see. So you guys have a great night, and hopefully this was helpful to somebody in deciding whether or not to buy this bandsaw.